Well, Caitlin Clark could be breaking another record, this time with an endorsement deal. The Associated Press says Clark will soon be signing an 8-year, $28 million contract with Nike. The Indiana Fever guard would also get to create her own signature shoe with the deal. Clark's previous deal with Nike ended after she finished.
Caitlin Clark didn't just sign a contract. She just shook the entire sports world. A rookie, barely months into her WNBA career, now holding a $25 million deal with Nike. A deal bigger than most NBA vets could even dream of. But here's the twist. This wasn't just about money, sneakers, or even stardom. What Caitlin did after signing might go down as one of the boldest, most loyal moves in basketball history. Before we dive into this blockbuster story, make sure you smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because trust me, you're not gonna want to miss how this one ends. Well, when the news broke, the numbers alone were shocking. $25 million to Caitlin Clark, instantly making her the highest paid sneaker athlete in WNBA history. But anyone who thought this was just about dollars and endorsements missed the real story. Because only days after signing, Caitlin flipped the script. At a private Nike event in Indianapolis, she stood in front of executives, teammates, and media and made a statement that left jaws on the floor. Instead of soaking up her spotlight, Caitlin redirected it. She called her teammate Sophie Cunningham to the stage. Now, this wasn't just a casual shout-out. Nike unveiled a custom gold-stitched jersey reserved for legends, and the crowd expected Caitlin to claim it. Instead, she turned to Sophie and said, "This isn't just for me. This is for every woman who fights for her team." And then came the bombshell. Out of a sleek black Nike case came a pair of sneakers in Fever colors. On the heel, stitched in bold letters, "No backing down." But beneath the shoes was the real shock. A contract, a Nike deal for Sophie Cunningham, personally brokered by Caitlin herself. She had written Sophie into her own negotiations, demanding that Nike bring her teammate under the brand too. Think about that, a rookie in her first season leveraging a $25 million mega deal, not to build her empire alone, but to pull a teammate up with her. In a league where every endorsement is contested, every headline is fought for, Caitlin Clark chose loyalty over ego. And let's not forget why Sophie. From the moment Clark entered the league, the veterans tested her. Angel Reese, Dijonai Carrington, the physical play was relentless. But every time Sophie was there, stepping in, protecting her, taking fouls, sending a message. If you go at Caitlin, you go through me first. That bond, unforged in bruises, in grit, in unseen battles, is what Caitlin repaid in that moment. It wasn't strategy, it wasn't PR, it was loyalty, raw and unshakable. And Nike, they leaned all the way in because they realized something powerful. Authenticity sells, loyalty sells, sisterhood sells. This wasn't just a sneaker launch, it was the birth of a movement. So now the real question is, did Caitlin Clark just redefine what it means to be a superstar? And could this decision ripple across the WNBA, changing how contracts, branding, and even leadership itself are measured? Caitlin Clark didn't just sign a $25 million contract. She negotiated it like a chess grandmaster. What most people don't realize is this: Nike didn't fully come to Caitlin. Caitlin came to them with demands. At the negotiation table, the energy wasn't the usual rookie-athlete dynamic where the brand dictates every line of the deal. Caitlin flipped the script. She told Nike point blank, "If you want me, you're not just buying a star, you're buying a movement." What shocked the executives wasn't her confidence, it was her condition. She wouldn't ink the deal unless teammate Sophie Cunningham was included, a rookie demanding leverage for someone else. It was unheard of. This wasn't just an endorsement, it was a power play. Nike had two choices: call her bluff and risk losing the biggest rising star in basketball, or lean in and gamble on something radical. Loyalty as a brand asset, they leaned in hard. And here's where the analyst in me steps in. This wasn't just generosity from Caitlin, this was calculated brilliance. She understood the game behind the game. Nike isn't just in the business of sneakers, they're in the business of stories. And Caitlin handed them one of the most powerful narratives in sports. A rookie who refuses to stand alone. A superstar who insists that her spotlight shines on others. A brand new definition of influence. Not about what you take, but who you bring with you. Think about it. Jordan's brand was built on dominance. LeBron's built on legacy. Serena's built on power. Caitlin Clark, she's building hers on loyalty, and loyalty sells. This deal tells fans, when you buy Caitlin Clark sneakers, you're not just supporting an athlete, you're supporting a culture. You're buying into team over ego. Now here's the twist most people missed. Caitlyn wasn't just negotiating Sophie's deal out of kindness. She was making a statement to the WNBA, to the media, to her opponents. You can come at me, you can foul me, you can doubt me, but you cannot break the circle around me. From a business perspective, Nike saw the genius. This was more than a sneaker drop. This was a campaign they could market worldwide. 2 teammates, 1 bond, 1 fight. But here's the part that makes me lean in as an analyst. Caitlyn wasn't just rewriting her own career, she was rewriting the economics of the entire league. $25 million wasn't just money, it was leverage. It proved that a WNBA rookie could command NBA-level respect, not just for herself, but for those around her. And for Sophie, it meant going from role player to history maker overnight. So the question becomes, if Caitlyn Clark can flip the power dynamic with Nike, what else is she capable of flipping? Rivalries, team politics, maybe even the future of the WNBA itself? Stay with me, because the next part takes this story into territory no one saw coming. When Caitlyn Clark walked out of that Nike boardroom, she didn't just secure a contract, she detonated a cultural earthquake. $25 million was the headline, yes, but the real story, the ripple effect that has now reached every corner of basketball and beyond. Let's break it down. For decades, women's basketball has fought for visibility, respect, and investment. Stars like Lisa Leslie, Diana Taurasi, and Sue Bird pushed the game forward, but the money and spotlight never quite matched the talent. Then came Caitlyn Clark, fearless, unapologetic, and armed with a fan base bigger than some NBA players. The Nike deal? It wasn't just about sneakers. It was a declaration, a signal to the sports world that women's basketball is no longer waiting for respect. It's demanding it. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. Inside Nike, this wasn't treated like just another endorsement. Insiders leaked that the Caitlyn Clark campaign has a budget rivaling LeBron James's launch back in 2003. Think about that. Nike is betting that Caitlyn can do for women's basketball what Jordan did for the NBA in the 80s. And they're not wrong. Clark's combination of charisma, clutch play, and cultural timing is lightning in a bottle. Gen Z doesn't just want athletes, they want icons who stand for something. Caitlyn defending Sophie Cunningham, that's bigger than basketball. It's loyalty, it's rebellion, it's authenticity. But let's zoom out. What does this mean for the WNBA? Ticket sales for the Indiana Fever are through the roof. Entire arenas are selling out, not just for Caitlyn's home games, but for road trips where fans flood arenas just to see her play. That's not a player, that's a phenomenon. And now add Nike into the equation. Imagine Times Square lit up with Caitlyn Clark billboards. Imagine sneaker drops with lines wrapping around city blocks. Imagine little kids wearing Caitlyn Clark jerseys the way they once wore Jordan's 23 or Kobe's 8. This is no longer theory, it's already happening. From an analyst's lens, here's why this is genius. Nike isn't simply selling sneakers, they're selling the future of equality in sports. They're telling every fan, when you wear Caitlyn's shoes, you're not just repping her game, you're repping a revolution. And the genius part? This isn't confined to the WNBA. NBA stars are taking notice. LeBron James himself reposted a Clark highlight on Instagram. Steph Curry has shouted her out. Suddenly, the bridge between men's and women's basketball is narrower than ever before. This is what I call a Bird moment. In the 1980s, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson saved the NBA from obscurity. Their rivalry turned the league into must-watch TV. Caitlyn Clark. She's writing a similar story, except it's not rivalry alone. It's loyalty, cultural resonance, and timing colliding all at once. Her stand for Sophie Cunningham wasn't just a friend's defense. It was a statement that women's sports don't have to follow the old playbook of every star for themselves. Caitlyn is proving that shared spotlight multiplies power, and Nike is smart enough to amplify it. Expect commercials of Caitlyn and Sophie side by side. Expect slogans like "Together We Rise." Expect documentaries, global tours, and sneaker drops that sell out in seconds. But here's the twist. The pressure just skyrocketed because $25 million isn't just a payday, it's a bullseye. Every opponent she faces now has extra motivation. Every mistake gets magnified. Every turnover, headline. Every loss, doubters screaming. And yet, Caitlyn thrives under that kind of fire. Remember her NCAA tournament runs, 40-point games under the brightest lights, logo threes with millions watching? That wasn't pressure, that was fuel. So here's the million-dollar question. Can she carry that same aura into the pros, now with the weight of Nike, the WNBA, and an entire movement on her shoulders? From my analyst perspective, this is exactly the stage she was built for. Caitlin Clark is not just the face of a brand, she's the architect of a new era. And just like Larry Bird redefined what basketball could be, Caitlin Clark is redefining what basketball should be for everyone. Caitlin Clark's Nike deal wasn't just a signature moment in sports. It was a cultural turning point. What started as one player's contract has now cascaded into something far bigger, a reshaping of how women's sports are consumed, marketed, and respected worldwide. Let's unpack it. Ticket sales were already spiking before the Nike deal, but since the announcement, entire seasons are sold out. According to industry reports, the Indiana Fever's demand for tickets now rivals mid-market NBA teams. Think about that. One rookie shifted the financial equation of an entire franchise. And it's not just Indiana. Wherever Caitlin plays, arenas are filled. This Clark effect has teams expanding seating, adding merch stands, and doubling security just to manage crowds. We've never seen this in women's basketball at this scale. But here's the kicker. When one team grows, the league grows. Suddenly, the WNBA is seeing higher TV ratings, more sponsor interest, and larger media coverage. Caitlin's deal didn't just make her rich, it lifted an entire ecosystem. Before Caitlin, women's basketball highlights were buried deep on sports sites. Now, they're front page news. ESPN, Bleacher Report, and Sports Illustrated are running daily updates on Clark. Talk shows debate her impact, late night hosts name drop her. And Nike knows exactly how to fuel that media fire. Insiders say Caitlin's first major ad campaign will launch during the NBA Finals, guaranteeing tens of millions of eyeballs. That's not women's basketball being given a platform. That's women's basketball taking it. This visibility snowballs. The more she trends, the more brands want in. The more brands invest, the more coverage she gets. It's a cycle that only a select few athletes, LeBron, Jordan, Serena, have ever managed to ignite. Now let's talk about culture. For decades, sneaker culture has been dominated by men, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. But for the first time, we're seeing sneaker blogs, collectors, and even resellers hype up a WNBA shoe. Imagine this, kids lining up at 4 a.m. for Caitlin Clark's first Nike drop, a women's signature shoe becoming a grail item. This isn't just fashion, it's history. And it goes deeper. Nike campaigns are global. When Caitlin's face hits billboards in Paris, Shanghai, and Rio, the message is clear. Women's basketball isn't local, it's worldwide. This transcends sport. It inspires movements. Young girls in Africa, Asia, and Europe will now have a modern role model who looks like them, dominates like them, and is marketed like them. That's legacy level influence. Here's where my analyst hat comes on. Sports and politics are always linked, and Caitlin's rise is no exception. Her stardom puts pressure on policymakers, sponsors, and broadcasters to address the inequality gap between men's and women's sports. Already, conversations around pay equity in the WNBA have resurfaced. Lawmakers are tweeting support. University programs are boosting their women's teams. Even NBA stars are calling for shared resources. And Nike? They're leaning into it. Expect ads framing Caitlin not just as an athlete, but as a movement leader. That's where her story transcends basketball. It becomes a social statement. This part is staggering. Economists are calling it the Caitlin economy. Ticket resale markets, merch sales, sneaker drops, TV rights. Her impact is being measured in the hundreds of millions. And the best part, she's not just generating revenue for herself, she's generating opportunities for teammates, rivals, and future generations. Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, even rookies who will enter in 2 years. They'll all ride this wave. For Nike, this isn't charity, it's smart business. They know Caitlin has the power to expand markets. And for the WNBA, that means longevity, relevance, and mainstream acceptance. But let's not forget the human side. At the heart of all this buzz, sponsorships, millions, culture shifts, is one simple truth. Caitlin Clark plays for her teammates, her fans, and the love of the game. Her defense of Sophie Cunningham resonated because it was real. In a world of scripted PR and polished image control, Caitlin gave us something raw, something authentic, and that authenticity is why millions believe in her. So where does this leave us? With Caitlin Clark, we're not just watching a player, we're watching a cultural rebrand of an entire sport. We're watching a movement that will ripple across industries, across borders, and across generations. And the question remains, will she handle the pressure, stay loyal to her roots, and deliver championships? Or will the weight of superstardom prove too heavy? That's what makes this journey irresistible. And there you have it. Caitlin Clark didn't just secure her own future. She rewrote the playbook on what loyalty looks like in professional sports. A $25 million deal, yes, but also a movement that says true greatness isn't measured by the spotlight you take, but by who you choose to share it with. What do you think? Did Caitlin Clark just spark a new era in the WNBA? Or was this a once-in-a-generation act of loyalty? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this story. Because if Caitlin Clark's rookie season is only the beginning, then trust me, we've just seen the start of something historic.